Okay, let's get straight into it. I'm gonna do minimal editing on this video. Okay, so first let me address how extrusions are used. I have my currently 0.1 meter grid. Alright, so let's make an extrusion. Extrusions are where you draw a cross face, a cross section of a shape. So you know in school you learned about prisms. So you draw a cross section of a shape. Hang on, I'm gonna make this a 1 meter cube. So that's 1, 2, 3. So I need to have hang on, 7. And come back up. So you want to create a cross section of a shape. You can't create rounded shapes. It'll essentially stretch out whatever you do have until it has a however much you set it. I'm bad at math, but I can at least. So essentially, I'm just gonna make a shape. That's good enough. So yeah, you can see what I'm doing. You're just drawing the shape. Alright, and then you can choose how long you want your prism to be. So it's used to create a cross section which will then be extruded to whatever you want. So this is a 20 meter tall, strange looking column. It looks actually kind of nice. So I recommend you draw things like that. Why not? Most of mine are just rectangles. Alright, so back to making a flying saucer. You can use that. You can use the spindle tool. So usually you can use the spindle tool to make a drive cone. However, the way the spindle tool works is you create a cross section which is then copied around the axis you choose, making a round shape. So here, let's make a flying saucer shape. I might even put this on the blueprint exchange. Let's make it fairly large. So you want to start with the roof. I'll just make this all in one go and then convert the top of the saucer to. Actually, let's make a consistent size. So 0.5, 0.1. Go down here, 0.5, 0.5, 0.1. That should be good enough. And then let's go out several meters. 4 meters, 5 meters, 4.6. That should be good. And then go down. Now I think I've started drawing this incorrectly. So the way you draw a spindle affects the way that it's shaded. So this might end up inside out. Well, we can find out whether or not I've messed this up. So let's put this here and put this. Hang on. So make sure we're in alignment with the. All right. So there we go. That's a spindle. Hang on. Let's go back. Let's make it so that we can have like a little hatch in the bottom. Align this here. Alright, so that should be good enough. Hit done, and we want to rotate this around the y-axis. Let's have plenty of steps, because this is going to be the main hull of our ship. 26 steps. And when it appears, yes, so you see, I've created this inside out, because the way I created this. Oh, this is easily solved. So you click it, select the hull, go into face mode up here, hit Control A to select all the faces. Now, you can't see the window, so if I click face, go down the list, you should see cut face. Keep going down until you see reverse faces. Now, click reverse faces, and you should get the shape you wanted. So if I turn on face mode and click off, here we have a flying saucer. The cockpit is opaque. So you have like your little hatch shape at the bottom. You could use face mode to convert that into a door, but you should probably use a jig of some kind. Now this is only the outer hull. To create the interior, you'll also probably want to use a spindle, or you could actually just make the interior rooms rectangular or whatever extrusion shape you do. However, let's also make the window here. So face mode, and we're not going to select every face. We're going to select all of these faces. And make this a we could just cut this off, cut face. Oh no, wrong way. Split faces, and you see that's created a new hull. Actually, I'm gonna cut this out of the video because it's a terrible idea. Maybe. Hang on. I'm just showing you can make this a window. You can make it 50% visible, transparent, and there you go. Now you have a transparent area, but on the interior. Okay, so you actually might not want to do that. That might actually be a terrible idea, because what you want to do before you do any of that, first we're going to reset our grid. So now we have our flying saucer. We're going to select it and hit Control C to copy it and Control V to paste it. And now we have a hull inside of our hull, but you can't see it because it's the same size. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna hang on. We actually have to center. I want to center our thing, so we have to move 0.1 on the x-axis. All right, now that our flying saucer is centered on the grid, let's move it. Let's move our grid up to be in the exact center, so that when I when I scale the actual saucer, it won't scale to the bottom. That looks roughly in the middle. Hang on, we can move up half a meter maybe. That's good. Alright. Alright. So now we have hull number 5, which is hidden behind hull number 2. Now if we hit Shift S, okay, hang on, we want to move up so we have a good view of the ship. Go to the edge and hit Shift S, so you'll be able to perfectly scale the vessel, and you can scale it to be just slightly smaller than the exterior. And now you've done this, you'll have a perfect room of the inside. You'll have to go to Part, Make. You can't see the window. If you hit Part and you go down the bottom, it's the second from the bottom. Make. You'll have a drop-down menu, and you go down. You'll find the Convert to Room. It'll say Room. If you click it, it'll turn the part into a room. Okay, now that we have our interior, we can select both of these. Go into face mode. Select this. I actually haven't tried this before. If I split these faces, will it create new faces to accommodate? Probably not. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to do something experimental. We're going to do the tried and true method of creating a jig. I'm going to create a jig cut. What we're going to do, we're going to align our grid along here. So it should be at the same height as all of these. Yes, alright. The exact height. Let's move down a few centimeters. 0.02. 0.01. Oh crap, that's not selected in the grid. Alright. 0.02. Oh, that's up. Hang on. Negative 0.04. There we go. Now we've moved down. We have a bit of leeway. 4 centimeters of leeway, but still enough so that we don't mess something up. Alright, now that we have the grid aligned, we can go to Part, Jig, and then select Cutting Jig. I have to make sure I detail very closely what menu I use because you can't see it with shadow play. Anyway, you want to disable snap to vertices so you don't accidentally snap to one of these. Go around this, whatever. You don't. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't. It's not. You don't have to be careful what jig shape. Just as long as it goes around the whole thing. Oh well, depending on what you are cutting. With this, I don't need to be careful. Just and then type 3 maybe. That should definitely be too tall, but enough. Whatever. Okay. So now we have our cutting jig. Select both the cutting jig and the room and the hull, and go to the bottom of the part menu and hit Jig Cut. If you've seen the design tutorial, you should be able to tell what I'm doing. Huh, that's not right. It hasn't done anything. Hang on, let's try that again. Jig Cut? Huh, that's strange. Maybe if I move the jig up slightly. Comma, 0.5, comma, 0.1. Huh, this isn't quite working, is it? Strange. Is something broken? Is the game trying to figure out how to cut this? Hang on, I'm hitting Control Z. I think I've broken the designer. Yeah, I think there's far too many vertices here, so wait, if I hit delete. No. Okay, I've broken the designer. But you get, okay. The main point is you can create a flying saucer with the spindle tool. Yeah, I have broken the designer. I cannot make things invisible. Oh dear. Hang on. Oh, okay. One last thing. Actually, I'm gonna have to re-enter the designer. So hang on. I'm gonna do a bit of minimal editing. If I depart the studio, I should probably save this. Hang on, save as whatever. I'll just type saucer, and I'll also put this in the blueprint exchange and assembly so you can use it. Okay, so a few things. So hang on, wait, I have to wait for the. Oh, I can't exit the designer either. That's very bad. Okay, I'm gonna have to cut 2 parts of video. Hang on, be right back. Alright, so my avatar is trapped in limbo, so we're gonna have to use the offline designer. But that isn't the problem. Let's just open it up and continue working. Saucer. Alright, so we were going to use this cutting jig. Hang on, where is the cutting jig set up right now? Hang on, I wanna make sure I don't cut anything on accident. Anything I don't want to cut. I wanna have the cutting jig level with my face. Hang on. Let's move it up a few. Yeah, that should be good enough. That should be fine. We'll leave a little lip for the window. Alright, anyway, we'll do a jig cut. Okay, so we've had 2 crashes. Perhaps that has something to do with the complexity of the jig. Let's try deleting this and stretching out the parts. Hang on. Alright, so let's set the grid up here. Snap the vertices. Set the grid up here. And move the grid up by 0.1. And make a perfectly square jig that won't have complex geometry that will crash the game. It's probably the geometry of the actual the headpiece of the saucer. However, let's just test this. Alright, so 1 meter should be enough, right? Hang on. Oh, we need to have more. We need to make it taller. So, if you accidentally make a jig that's too small, or you want to make your hull bigger, all you have to do is enter face mode and select the vertices here. And enter a z-axis, so 0.5 should be enough. There you go. Now that we have that, let's do some jig cut, and we're gonna crash. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I didn't save before I did that, so we still have the old jig. Okay. We've clearly proven that the jig idea is not possible with such complex geometry. So, let's try splitting the faces using face mode. At the very bottom, split faces. Aha! There we go. Oh, strange. We got a room from that. I suppose it, actually, hang on, let's not do that. Actually, wait, let's do that. I want to see what it looks like. Interesting. Well, we're going to convert it to a window anyway, so the type of part it is doesn't really matter, does it? Because it's going to be a window. Transparent. Alright, now what I'm concerned about is, yes, so here we have... Ooh. Oh, that's... Oh yeah, also we need to reverse the faces on the inside. So, we crashed when we tried to do that last time, so wait, hang on. Hit Control A, and hit face, reverse faces. Now that that's been done, if we head inside the saucer, we will find... Oh. Strange. Hang on, let's try that again. Face mode. Oh. Oh, yes, okay, so sometimes when you select a part, it'll be displaced. Now, here's my problem. There's an area with no faces, which is now invisible. Hang on, I wonder if there's a way in face mode to create some faces. Huh. Add face. Start face shape or center of round face. Continue face shape. Continue face shape. Okay, so you can manually create the faces here. It'll take a very long time, and that's an effort and just patience. But see, you created a face. So I'm gonna very quickly do all of this and maybe accelerate it. Now we can do this in real time. It's just you have to get very dexterous at it and snap to the vertices. But you can create the faces required manually, and eventually you will get everything you need. You should not make all of this a single face for good reason, probably. It'll probably mangle up if you try and scale it. So you should manually make all of these their own face. I mean, that's just me thinking of what would happen in the designer if you mess that up. I also have changed my font, and by that you'll be able to figure out what time period I'm recording this video and correlate it to the episode, because if you check the current episode, that's probably going to be uploaded after this. You probably don't care. We're just looking for design tips. Is it just me, or are these getting out of alignment? That's probably fine. Anyways, okay. Let's finish this up, and I'm gonna put this on the blueprint exchanges and assembly. Just for you. I'll call it Flying Saucer. Oh, I'm tired. I'm very tired. I have some delicious soup. Did I mention that? I have some delicious, delicious soup. And I really want to eat it. But instead we're here making faces. And there we go. We now have all of the faces we needed for that. So we have our window, our room, and our faces. Now, here, at the very bottom, I would make this area, this little section here, it's a hull door. You would have to you wouldn't be able to use a jig. You'd have to select all these faces and turn it into a door, and then manually add the faces, just like we did for the window. And also, you might want to make this a bit bigger. This flying saucer, it's a bit small. It might be like for a one-man small shuttle spaceship. In fact, I wonder what happens if I scale it up. I could probably just scale it up straight up. Hang on, if I put this at the origin and go straight up for like a few meters. Come on, 3 meters. Oh wait, the origin is slightly off, or the spacecraft is, so let's move it back onto the origin. Let's move it, was it point something y, 0.2 to the y. I'm trying to move it, oh, we're in face mode, that's the problem, alright. And then 0.1, and that should be directly on top of the origin. I'm fairly certain I can see it align. Oh, we're slightly off alignment. That's unfortunate. I'll still put it in the assembly. It'll probably be fine. Anyway, I wonder if I can scale this up properly. Let's go, comma, 1 meter. Oh, that's, hang on, comma, -1. And move the grid up by 1.5 meters. Actually move it back down by half a meter. That should be good enough. Actually, let's scale it up from the saucer wing so that retains its shape. You know, something you could do if you wanted to make your flying saucer not completely symmetrical. You could just delete this half in face mode. Hang on, if we take face mode, select all of this, go into face mode, and if you select very carefully everything here, you could delete it and just use that as the front half of a ship. Boom. That's a front half of a ship if you want. However, we're not going to do that. We're just going to make ours perfectly circular. Back to what we were doing. We were going to scale. We were going to move this down to the saucer wing, so it's That's good. That's good. All right. All right. We're gonna select this and scale it up and see if I'll put this on the assemblies. Shift S, and that's fairly large. That's big. That's very big. That's a very big spaceship now. What is that? Let's switch to meter scaling, and this is something like what? That's two. That's I chose a sphere instead. Let's choose extrusion, and let's just use it as ruler. What do we like? This is 44-meter diameter. So yeah, so we have a flying saucer. I'm gonna actually scale that back down and put this on the workshop, on the blueprint exchange. Actually, I keep calling it the workshop because of the Steam workshop. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make a flying saucer in Shores of Hazeron. I mostly made it for someone on the forum. Anyways, there's going to be actually a lot more editing than I planned because of the crashes and the problems with editing, with the recording. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed.